Good morning or afternoon, Evergreen. How are we? The end of January is here and we are making the turn to February. Now, with February being upon us, the theme for us continues to be kindness here at Evergreen. Kind to yourself, kind to your classmates, kind to your loved ones, kind to the adults here in the school, the bus drivers, the lunch ladies, the maintenance, whatever. We want you to be kind. We want you to smile. We want you to greet. We want you to help. We want you to uplift one another. So me and the Gator here, we want to just kind of talk to you and read a few stories that deal with being kind, with understanding one another, with recognizing that we are all special and yet all different and yet all the same. So we want to make sure here at Evergreen that we celebrate our differences, but also recognize our differences and love on each other's differences. So the first story I want to talk about is from a book called Rhinos and Raspberries, Tolerance Tales for the Early Years. Does anyone know what the word tolerance means? What does tolerance mean? When you come down to lunch today, I want you guys to tell me what tolerance means when you see this video. I was going to give you the answer here, but I want to hear some of the answers you might give. What does tolerance mean? The first story I'm going to read is The Clever Boy and the Terrible, Dangerous Animal. This is an Afghan tale of fear. Once upon a time, there was a very clever boy. Nearby was a village that he had never visited. When he was older, he thought he would visit it too. Just outside that village, he came upon a crowd of people who were standing in a field. And as he drew near, he saw that they looked quite frightened. He said, "What is wrong?" "Oh," they said, "there's a terrible, dangerous animal in this field, and we are frightened because it might attack us." "Where is the terrible, dangerous animal?" asked the boy. "Oh, be careful." They screamed, and the people pointed to the middle of the field. And when the boy looked where they were pointing, he saw a very large melon. "That's not a terrible, dangerous animal," laughed the boy. "Yes, it is," cried the people. "Keep away, it might bite you." The boy said, "I'll go kill this dangerous animal for you." "No," they cried, "it's too terrible and dangerous. It might bite you." But the boy went right up to the melon and soon was eating a large slice out of it. The people were astonished. "What a brave boy!" As they spoke, the boy took another bite out of the large melon. It tasted delicious. "Look," they cried. "Now he's eating the terrible, dangerous animal. He is a terrible, dangerous boy." As the boy walked toward them, the people ran away saying, "Don't attack us, you terrible, dangerous boy. Keep away." And the boy laughed again. "What are you laughing at?" they asked. "What you call a dangerous animal is just a melon," said the boy. "Melons are very nice to eat. We've got lots of them in our village, and everyone eats them." The people wanted to know how they could get melons, and the boy showed the people how to plant them. Now they have lots of melons. They sell some, eat some, give some away. They even named their village Melon Village. And just think, it all happened because a clever boy was not afraid when a lot of people thought something was dangerous just because they had never seen it before. Did you get the message there? They were scared because they had never seen it before. We have to be careful, Evergreen, not to judge, especially things that we don't know about or haven't been around or have not been exposed to or simply just not used to. Sometimes you just got to get to know the new thing. And once you know what the new thing is, you won't be afraid or nervous about it anymore. The next story I want to read is called The Prince and the Rhinoceros, an Indian tale of speaking kindly. An Indian tale of speaking kindly. Once upon a time in India, a rare rhinoceros was born with skin so beautiful it almost glowed. The rhinoceros was given to a noble prince who was very lonely and whose kingdom was poor. The prince was so delighted with the unusual gift that he laughed joyfully. So he named the little calf Great Joy. The prince treated the rhino with great kindness. He fed her rice, fruit, and choice tender plants, and he always spoke in a kind and gentle voice. Great Joy grew and was happy. The prince thought Great Joy was quite beautiful. At sunrise, she would be golden. At sunset, she would be a canvas of pink and red and orange, and later, the dark blue of the evening. Sometimes after a rain, she would reflect everything around her. She seemed almost enchanted. You are wonderful and special to me, the prince whispered softly. In time, Great Joy came into an enormous rhino. She was very strong. One day she thought about her good life with the prince and what she could give him in return. I am only a rhino, but I can use my strength to help him earn gold for his kingdom. She suggested that to the prince that she compete in a contest of strength against the town's strongest bulls. A rich merchant with many fine oxen agreed to the wager. Great Joy would pull 100 loaded wagons, usually towed by his team of 8 oxen. The bet was 1,000 gold pieces. The next day, the prince inspected the wagons and harnessed Great Joy to the front. Then he climbed onto the driver's seat. Great Joy waited for a few kind words of encouragement before starting. Instead, the prince, thinking only of the gold, waved a whip in the air and shouted, "Pull, you big wretch! Move, you worthless rhino!" Now, are those nice words, Evergreen? I don't think so. Great Joy was shocked at her beloved prince's words. Wretch? Worthless? I'm no wretch, she thought. I'm not worthless either. She stiffened her huge legs and refused to move an inch. Can you understand why the rhino would refuse to move an inch after being spoken to like that? After how she was made to feel? After what those words meant and said to her? Makes sense to me. Humiliated, the prince ran home and hid in his royal bed. I'm ruined, he cried. Great Joy was filled with pain and sorrow. She needed to understand what she had done to deserve such cruel insults. After many days and nights without food or sleep, she went to the prince's palace, which had grown shabby due to his impoverished state. That means he was sad. Oh, prince, in all our years together, have I ever done anything to hurt you? No, never. Then why did you say those terrible things to me? I'm going to say that part again. Oh, prince, in all our years together, have I ever done anything to hurt you? Nope, never. Then why did you say those terrible things to me? Evergreen, I need you to think about the words that you say to each other. Even if you think it's cute, even if you think it's funny. Words hurt. I want you to think about always being kind. Then why did you say those terrible things to me? Was the thought of gold worth more than what I can offer, which is love, support, friendship, and kindness? The prince hung his head. Tears ran down his face. The gold distracted me. I forgot the importance of our friendship. I am ashamed. I am ashamed. Then we will try again, Great Joy said. Go back to the merchant and double your bet. Great Joy is a pretty good sport. She's forgiving. Again, the carts were loaded and Great Joy was harnessed to the front. The prince climbed up and sang out, "All right, you marvelous marvel, you splendid rhino, my great joy, it's up to you." Notice the difference in motivation from the prince. "All right, you marvelous marvel, you splendid rhino, you great joy, it's up to you." Much better than how he spoke to Great Joy earlier. The powerful rhino snorted, pawed the ground, and charged forward. Her sides heaved as she pulled until the last cart crossed the finish line. The townspeople cheered wildly as they covered her with garlands of flowers and strands of tinkling bells. The prince collected his 2,000 pieces of gold, then humbly thanked Great Joy for a job well done. That very evening, the prince and the rhino walked along the river in the red glow of sunset. "I didn't mean to say such harmful words to you," the prince whispered. "Please forgive me." Do you notice? Not only did the prince recognize that he was wrong, he changed his behavior and he sought apology. Evergreen, when you know you're wrong, apologize. But then after you apologize, don't go back and do what you did the first time. Change the behavior. "I didn't mean to say such harmful words to you," the prince whispered. "Please forgive me." "I already have," said Great Joy. And that's how they lived forever after, in friendship and great joy. Never again did an unkind word pass between them. One of the things I learned, Evergreen, many, many, many years ago when I was around your age, you can forget a great many things from when you were a child. But one of the things you will never forget is how people make you feel. You're responsible for how you make people feel. Words hurt, words stick, words affect us. Think about how you talk to people. Even when you're upset, you still are responsible for how you speak to people. I got one more story I want to share with you. You ready? You ready? This is better than ELA. This is better than science. This is better than math. I don't know about library and gym. I love library and gym, so it might not be better than them, but let's go. This one is called The Blind Man and the Hunter. This is a West African tale of learning from your mistakes. You get it? Learning from your mistakes. We all make mistakes. Adults, young, old, boy, girl, doesn't matter. We all make mistakes. The goal is to learn from your mistakes, especially those ones that either hurt you or hurt others. You don't want to continually do those type of mistakes. Once there was a blind man who lived with his sister in a hut near the forest. Now this blind man was very clever. Even though his eyes saw nothing, he seemed to know more about the world than people whose eyes were sharp. He would sit outside his hut and talk to passerbys. If there were things they wanted to know, he would tell them, and his answers were always the right ones. People would shake their heads with amazement. "Blind man, how is it that you are so wise?" And the man would smile and say, "Because I see with my ears. I see with my ears." Well, the blind man's sister fell in love with the hunter, and they were married. When the wedding feast was finished, the hunter came to live with his new wife. But the hunter had no time at all for her brother, the blind man. "What use," he would say, "is a man with no eyes?" Every day, the hunter would go into the forest with his traps and spears. And every evening, when a hunter returned to the village, the blind man would say, "Please, tomorrow, let me come with you hunting in the forest." But the hunter would shake his head. "What use is a man with no eyes. One evening, the hunter was in a good mood. He had returned home with a fat gazelle. His wife had cooked the meat, and when they finished eating, the hunter turned to the blind man and said, "Very well, tomorrow you will come hunting." So the next morning they set off into the forest, the hunter with his traps and spears leading the blind man by the hand. Suddenly the blind man stopped. "Shh, there's a lion." The hunter looked about. He couldn't see anything. "There's a lion," said the blind man, "but it's all right. He's fast asleep. He won't hurt us." They went along the path, and there, sure enough, was a great lion fast asleep under a tree. The hunter asked, "How did you know about the lion?" "Because I see with my ears." They continued deep into the forest until they came to a clearing. The hunter set one of his traps and showed the blind man how to set another one. Then the hunter said, "We'll come back tomorrow and see what we've caught." The next morning, they walked into the forest to see where the traps had been set. The hunter saw straight away that there was a bird caught in each trap. He saw that the bird caught in his trap was a little gray one, and the bird in the blind man's trap was a beauty with feathers of green, crimson, and gold. "We've each caught a bird," he said. "I'll fetch them out of the traps." And what did he do? He gave the blind man the little gray bird and kept the beautiful bird for himself. Not good, Evergreen. He's not being honest. So then they set off for home. As they walked, the hunter said, "If you're so clever and see with your ears, then answer me this. Why is there so much anger and hatred in this world?" I'm going to ask you again, Evergreen. Are you ready? Why is there so much anger and hatred in this world? And the blind man answered, "Because the world is full of so many people like you who take what is not theirs." I'm going to say it again. Because the world is full of so many people like you who take what is not theirs. And the hunter was filled with shame. He took the little bird from the blind man's hand and gave him the beautiful one instead. "I'm sorry," he said. As they walked, the hunter said, "If you're so clever, then answer me this. Why is there so much love and kindness in this world?" Why is there so much love and kindness in this world? And the blind man answered, "Because the world is full of so many people like you who learn by their mistakes." Did you catch it, Evergreen? Because the world is full of so many people like you who learn from their mistakes. Evergreen, do you learn from your mistakes? Do you fix your behavior? Do you talk differently after you realize you were wrong? Do you apologize and truly mean it? Don't apologize and keep doing the wrong thing. Apologize and do the right thing. From that day on, if the hunter heard anyone ask, "Blind man, how is it that you are so wise?" he would put his arm around the blind man's shoulders and say, "Because he sees with his ears and hears with his heart." The reason I love that story, sometimes our eyes can deceive what we see. You must always be listening to what your classmates are saying. You should always be listening to what your teachers are saying. You should always be listening to your parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters and cousins. The smartest people, the truly smartest people and the kindest people are the ones that listen. I will end with this. If you are a person who is always talking, When do you take time to listen? Evergreen, thank you. Again, the theme for February is kindness. We are looking for you to be kind to yourself and to others. Smile more, say hello more, greet people more, play with kids you might not normally even play with. Embrace the differences. We're all different. Learn from those differences. Learn the differences. Embrace the differences. All right, Evergreen, stay well. Dr. T, I'll talk to you soon. The Gator says goodbye. Till next time.